Chaos ends in tragedy. 8 dead, multiple injured after a man opened fire at a FedEx facility on the west side.
I was horrified. We have family who works there, and so that my first thought was to get a hold of them and make sure that they're okay.
Family and friends left searching for loved ones.
I don't know if my friend's alive, if she's okay.
And as the sun came up today, investigators still trying to answer the big question, why?
Now at 6, team coverage showing the impact this mass shooting is having on our community and new information about the suspect in the case. And the one thing everyone needs to hear.
It's very difficult, but it's so important to reach out if you need the help and to allow people to support you.
Heartbreak in Indianapolis. 8 people killed at the FedEx facility on the west side of Indianapolis after a man opened fire late last night. That suspect killed himself.
And now investigators are trying to figure out how and why this tragedy happened. But here's what we're learning now. IMPD has identified the suspect in this case as 19-year-old Brandon Scott Hole. He's a former employee at the FedEx Ground Operations Center off Mirabel Road in Indianapolis. That's not far from Indianapolis International Airport. He was last employed at the facility in 2020, according to IMPD. Right now, detectives are scouring his social media and electronics to help determine the motive. Detectives also searched his home today. Again, police say he is the suspect accused of killing 8 people at that FedEx building late last night. IMPD says it appears Hole began firing randomly outside the facility and then entered the building where he continued shooting. 4 people were found dead outside and another 4 were killed inside the FedEx facility. At least 5 people were hospitalized with injuries. Their conditions and details about their injuries have not been released. About 100 employees were in the vicinity of the facility at the time of the shooting, according to FedEx. None of the victims have been identified. And tonight, this picture just coming in of the suspect, 19-year-old Brandon Scott Hole. Again, police believe he is the man responsible for killing 8 people at FedEx.
Team coverage showing how the mass shooting is impacting our community today. We begin with Megan Sanctorum at a Holiday Inn near the crime scene where families spent hours waiting for information. The story of a woman searching for her husband.
It's been a very heavy and emotional day here at the Holiday Inn as families wait to hear if their loved ones are okay.
Terrible. Terrible, the fear.
The fear of the unknown is what many families here today are dealing with.
It's just the waiting that just kills you.
Mary Carol Weisert is here with family. She says her husband works for FedEx, and as of this afternoon, she still hadn't heard from him.
I mean, at least we have each other, but when I was home by myself, before they came to get me, it was just, I didn't know how I was gonna, just so nervous and scared and everything.
Weisert tells me her husband worked last night and was supposed to get off around 10 o'clock. She said they get their paychecks on Thursday, so she knew he was going to pick his up after his shift and maybe getting home a little late because of that. But as hours went by, she started to worry. To complicate things, employees at this FedEx facility are not allowed to bring cell phones inside to work. That's why so many families have been unable to contact their loved ones.
I'm not really sure exactly what the situation was with the shooter or anything, but not knowing the story or what was behind it or anything. But my first thought was that this country really needs to pay a lot more strong attention to mental health issues that are going on, because there are a lot of people that are untreated, or maybe they're not getting the right type of treatment, and people are just dismissing it like it's nothing. And I think that we're really seeing a lot of this in the last decade, that it's unnecessary, it doesn't need to happen, but unfortunately people suffer and they don't know how to deal with it, so they act out inappropriately, and then things like this happen, and then we're all hurting.
Hurting, frustrated, and just waiting for word their family member is okay.
And it's scary, especially because you see it in other places and you think, gee, that's terrible. But when it happens in your own backyard, it seems a little closer to home.
But it's one of the worst days for all of us.
Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
Who in the world would do some stuff like that? I mean, there's enough shootings going on in this world, but we don't need this. For what? It don't make any sense.
WRTV's Stephanie Wade brings us the stories of more families and the hell they've gone through over the past 19 or so hours.
It was a chaotic night last night as families became aware of the nightmare that took place at the FedEx facility just 3 miles from where I am right now. Police were sending families here to the Holiday Inn who had not yet heard from their loved ones.
Dispatch units in reference to 8951 Maribel Road. Be advised, another caller heard 10 shots from near the front of the entrance. Caller says possibly from inside.
Several 911 calls detail this scene shortly after 11 p.m.
And I have a female who's in a control room who advised the subjects are still shooting. She does not have a visual, but can hear the shot.
This is awful. This is awful.
Multiple people shot inside this FedEx facility.
Additional callers stated there's possible person shot laying near security in the front entrance of the building.
Just something in my gut told me something was wrong tonight. I just didn't know what.
Families of the employees who work there rushing to this Holiday Inn.
She was coming down the stairs. We got to go, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go.
It's just been crazy, hectic. No one knows anything.
Worried, sick, just waiting to hear if their loved one was alive.
I just hope to God he okay.
It's very scary. I ended up, calling or sending a message to my boss. I'm like, I don't know if my friend's alive. She's okay.
An employee who was working in a different area when the shooting happened
told us that basically the highways are closed off and we just had to stay inside.
Having to hide in a break room, he says.
It's nerve-wracking, were they going to come to our job or what was going to go on? It's a lot, the process.
Thankfully, Jose Lara made it out safely.
I'm just happy he's alive. I'm happy he's okay.
Other families who were unable to see their loved one as quickly, frantic and frustrated, especially because they tell us employees are unable to have their cell phones while working. So no one was able to make contact with them.
I hope, God, that he's not injured, and I hope a whole lot of other people are not injured either, but we don't know.
A lot of these people are so, they're upset. They don't know if their loved ones are alive or hurt or anything because they can't take their phones in there.
This woman, Vanessa, saying her partner is safe and hopeful others are too.
I'm so thankful that Jana is okay. And like I said, my heart goes out to them. I don't know. I've never experienced anything like this, and I cannot imagine what they're going through.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
FedEx has issued the following statement to ABC News confirming that some areas of the FedEx ground field operations facilities restrict cell phone access, saying, quote, to minimize potential distractions around package sortation equipment and dock operations, cell phone access within certain areas of FedEx ground field operations is limited to authorized team members, end quote. And we have learned that Sikh community members are among those who were killed and injured during last night's shooting. A member of their community was praying for the families who were still waiting to hear about their loved ones.
As just a community member, I can't imagine, what the real families who are waiting inside, what they're going through, because they have sent their folks for work. It's just, our heart goes to them. And really, I really can't explain in my own words what they're going through. So it's going to be a long process.
Although there are victims from the Sikh community in this case, police have not said the shooter was targeting them.
I want to give you a live look right now from our WRTV Skycam at the FedEx building on Mirabel Road. Again, that's on the west side near the airport. IMPD, state police, the coroner's office, and the FBI, they're all working, trying to figure out the motive behind the shooting that left 8 people dead. As families counted the minutes waiting to hear if their loved ones were okay, support was there to help them through the tragedy. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at the FedEx facility telling us about the group committed to being a presence of comfort through the hardest moments of people's lives. And there was a big call out for them too, Alyssa.
That's right, Mark. And as you said, I am still here at the facility right now. It is an active scene. Police are continuing to investigate this shooting where 8 people were killed on the southwest side of Indianapolis. We do know that the coroner is on scene. They allowed that person on site around 1:30 this afternoon to help with the identification of these victims. We don't know their names yet, and they are working to contact families as well. Police do tell us they believe all the survivors from this incident have been reunited with their families at this time, but we spoke with a chaplain who was there waiting with their families. He described it as heartbreaking.
It is, hard to see parents and loved ones and family members and friends crying because the unknown.
IMPD staff chaplain Orlando Jordan Jr., one of 5 chaplains comforting families at a nearby hotel as they waited to learn more details about the shooting and connect with their loved ones.
We've been with families all night, all morning, as they have come and in need for information, as they've come and been in need for comfort and prayer.
People waiting for hours as police continued to conduct their investigation. The coroner's office allowed on scene around 1:30 this afternoon to start the process of identifying the victims. The officers first to arrive at the facility after the shooting, walking into a horrific scene.
Our IMPD officers went towards danger, as they typically do. And when they arrived on the scene, they found something that really no one should see.
Those officers also on Chaplain Jordan's list of people to check in on.
We have made sure we reach out to officers and make sure that those that have been on scene, that we're reaching out to them and making sure that they're doing okay as well.
Jordan is no stranger to tragedy. This is his job, comforting families impacted by violence. An Indy native, he never expected to be comforting families after a mass shooting like this.
And everyone takes on the thought process that it'll never be their city, it'll never be their town. And then when it happens, it's kind of shell-shocking.
And the coroner's office tell us they are going to continue working to identify those 8 victims of this shooting here in Indianapolis. They also said they'll be bringing in extra staff to move that along more quickly. They hope to have those identifications completed in the next 48 to 72 hours. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
And we are glad they were there. Thank you, Alyssa. For some additional perspective now, last night's mass shooting at the FedEx facility is the 3rd mass shooting in Indianapolis in 2021, and we're not even 4 full months into the year. And as a point of reference, a mass shooting is defined as 4 or more people killed in a single event. Back on January 24th, 5 people were killed in a shooting on the 3500 block of Adams Street on the northeast side, not far from East 38th Street. Then a little more than a month ago, on March 13th, 4 people were killed in the 300 block of North Randolph Street. That's on the east side. And then last night, as we've reported extensively, a man went to the FedEx warehouse on Mirabel Road, that's on the west side, and killed 8 people.
You start thinking about what is going on in these people's lives to make them want to do this. And so for me, it goes back to the mental health.
As news continues to develop connected to the mass shooting at FedEx, we are checking in with members of our community tonight. After 3 mass shootings in Indianapolis this year, we want to know how people are feeling, where they are mentally, and what help is available for those having a tough time. WRTV's Nicole Griffin continues our team coverage tonight.
This is the first WRTV breaking news alert that was pushed out just before midnight last night.
My heart literally dropped, not only for, those that they have already said had passed away, but, also for the trauma of those that are still in the building and not knowing, where that suspect was.
As the news continues to develop throughout the day Friday, notifying community members of yet another mass shooting in Indianapolis, the feelings and emotions are heavy.
Unbelievable. Especially at a work site.
Terrifying. It's awful.
I went completely numb. And I think that because we're in a community and we're in an environment that's all we hear about.
When you see all these national mass shootings happening across America or across the world, you'll never think it take place in your own backyard.
After a year of losing loved ones due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the mental toll it's taken on so many, waking up Friday to news of 8 lives taken in the 3rd mass shooting in the city this year has community members saying there has to be a better way to solve problems or deal with anger.
What is happening and why can't we get a grasp of this? And it's so frustrating and it's exhausting mentally, physically, emotionally.
I feel for these families who I don't know, and, their lives have been rocked.
Until we get to the root causes of why people are killing each other, why these mass shootings are taking places. When you think about every situation, it's a situation that deals with mental health and trauma.
As the pandemic continues, Community Health Network's Behavioral Health Unit is seeing a record number of people seeking mental health and addiction services, the highest number since the mental health service line started in the 70s.
This is not the time to be shy about two things. One, asking for help or telling someone that you have a concern about them. We are human beings. Everybody can use a little tune-up here or there. And it's okay. It doesn't mean you're weak.
On a day when emotions are hard to handle and the entire community is in pain, there is hope for these community members I spoke with that we can all come together.
Let's just learn how to communicate. I know it ain't gonna happen overnight, but some of these little problems that's been had, it can be solved by a my fault, yes sir, or no ma'am.
It's tragic, and I mean, I don't think one organization or one mental institution can help bring these numbers down that we're seeing here in Indianapolis. It's going to be a together thing.
Working for you in Indianapolis, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
The mental health counselor we spoke with says right now is a good time to lean on your support networks and stay connected. If you are having a tough time, sometimes you may not know what to say to those who are grieving or dealing with mental health issues, but he says your presence means more than you know. 211 is a resource and referrals hotline, but they also have a mental crisis hotline. If you don't know where to go for mental health services or what professional is appropriate for you, call 211 and they can help. Also, the group Purpose for My Pain is a resource for families impacted by gun violence. You can email them at purposeformypain@yahoo.com. Tomorrow they are holding a vigil at 1 p.m. at Olivet Missionary Baptist Church. That is at 4141 North High School Road. And they want to encourage mental health counselors to come out from all across the community to offer their support and provide resources.
Tonight, some are demanding change when it comes to guns and background checks after the mass shooting at FedEx. What we're learning about that effort tonight. The mass shooting that left 8 people dead is prompting renewed calls for change at a state and national level when it comes to background checks and guns.
WRTV Investigates Kara Kenny joins us now with the effort underway.
Just this week, Mayor Joe Hogsett and 150 other mayors sent this letter to the U.S. Senate urging them to take action on gun violence prevention. After what happened at FedEx, this conversation is now at the forefront. Moms Demand Action's Indiana chapter and Mayor Hogsett are among those Friday calling on Congress to consider legislation that would expand background checks. In Indiana, someone can buy a gun through a private seller without a background check.
A federal bill would help close that so that all sales are receiving a background check.
Guy Relford is a certified firearms instructor.
Making good people helpless does not make bad people less harmful and so or less dangerous.
He expects the FedEx shooting will create an increase in gun sales and people seeking gun training.
Anytime people are concerned about having their rights restricted or their access to firearms restricted, a lot of times people will react to that by saying, well, I want to make sure that I purchase anything I'm interested in purchasing before those restrictions go into place.
Relford says many companies do not allow workers to bring weapons to work and sometimes even forbid them from locking them inside their vehicles.
Employees ought to be given the right to defend themselves or that security ought to be provided by an employer. And I think that's where I'd be focusing.
Moms Demand Action is urging the U.S. Senate to take action immediately and expand background checks.
We need more than thoughts and prayers. They're welcomed, but we need action.
Between COVID-19 and the looting and civil unrest in downtown Indianapolis, the city has already seen an uptick in gun license applications. Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
FedEx did report the incident to IOSHA. We've learned IOSHA is conducting a safety compliance inspection to determine if FedEx complied with state and federal regulations. Kyle.
A late day rally here with some sunshine. Indianapolis making it into the 60s now at 61, 64 in Tipton, Richmond. A little cooler though at 56 degrees. We have enjoyed a lot of sunshine, see a few clouds as we look north over downtown, and we're going to see more of those clouds as we go into tonight. But that blanket of cloud cover keeps our temperatures a little closer to the 40-degree mark, at least in the city. We will see some areas like Peru and Kokomo down into the mid-30s, where those clouds take a little longer to get into town. So you may have some patchy frost going into tomorrow morning, but I think we'll have more widespread frost as we go toward the middle of the week. Wednesday and Thursday morning, those temperatures are going to be around freezing. That may not be the only thing we got to concern ourselves with. It's going to come with some precipitation. This is TrueCast, 6:30 Tuesday morning. I think we'll have some rain showers, and then look at this. It is April, and TrueCast is painting out a little bit of snow as we get into Tuesday night. Don't think it'll be a big system, but something we will certainly keep you updated on. Tomorrow, not going to see any snow. Could see some light rain showers, especially along and south of Interstate 70. Rain chance only about 20 to 30% for us, though, and temperatures will make their way from about 53 here at noon into the upper 50s for that afternoon high. A few areas will squeak into the 60s here, 60 in Bloomington, 62 in Columbus. In the second half of the weekend, that rain chance very spotty and isolated. Most of us will stay dry, kind of in and out of the cloud cover, but more clouds than anything else as temperatures make their way around 60 again for that high temperature. Put it all together now for you in that extended forecast. Temperatures looking the best as we get to Monday. That's really going to be the pick of the 7-day forecast at 65, because we talked about those changes that are coming a little later in the week. Some rain showers, maybe some snowflakes there on Tuesday, 58, and temperatures may not get out of the 40s by Wednesday. We'll be right back here on the news at 6.
I want to thank you for joining us for WRTV News at 6. Our coverage continues online 24/7 at WRTV.com.
And we'll be back for the news at 7.